All right, hello everyone. Today I have Rajesh. He's the founder of PIPEIQ and they're building agents for go-to-market. Rajesh, it's great to have you.
Hey, great to have you. Thanks for having me, Nicholas, on the show.
Yeah. So Rajesh, could you give us a quick background of who you are and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm the founder of PipeIQ. Been working on PipeIQ last couple of years. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. Been doing startups or being part of startups in Silicon Valley for the last almost 20 years, since 2006. So been a long run. And with PipeIQ, we really saw I saw a massive opportunity with AI back in when ChatGPT was released. And then we have come a long way since that time, last 2.5 years. And I think now the sort of cutting edge is around agents, right? And getting agents to work for different use cases. So that's what we are working on. My background is go to market. So that's the sort of expertise we're bringing. And we're building some decentralized rails. We believe a lot of these agents will operate on decentralized rails in the future. So we're building against that future.
I love it. Love it. So you've been a part of many startups before and you're used to that like high fast-paced environment with where you're lean with a small team. You don't have a bunch of resources to tap into. You're kind of
That's right.
the guy who does everything.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very familiar with sort of scrappy environments, right? Irrespective of what stage the startup is at, right? Like it could be, you may be pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B, even Series C, right? Like even later in the cycle, there's a lot of anxiety around, hey, are we going to survive? Are we going to make it? What are we going to do about, what this competitor just released, or the incumbent released? So it's a lot of it is just psychology and handling that well and staying the course and executing really. So
Yeah.
yes, very familiar with that.
Nice. Yeah, that's important, especially in crypto. And so, for anyone who doesn't know, PipeIQ is they also launched a coin on the Believe platform. Um, and could you tell us a little bit more about what PipeIQ is? Like, how would you describe it to someone who doesn't know anything about it?
Yeah, look, I mean, we help, yeah, for somebody who doesn't know anything about it, hey, we help sales and marketing professionals, right, drive pipeline, right, and revenue. So a sales person's job or a marketing person's job is to help the company make money, right, like, or get more customers. And our platform helps you do that. And then the question becomes how, and I mean, we can talk about that, but really, that's the whole idea. And I come from a B2B marketing background, right? So this whole platform is built around business to business sort of interactions to help drive revenue
Mm,
pipeline for B2B companies.
that makes sense. What excites you the most about what you're building here?
I mean, just AI, honestly. AI, I mean, I think AI is really, as we all probably, by this time appreciate, it's taking over a lot of large swaths of work, right? Depending on, which VCs you listen to, uh, sales and marketing salaries account for like $1 trillion. Sales and marketing, salaries, payroll. So we there is a new sort of category, if you will, or new articulation, which is called service as software, right? We used to have SaaS, which is software as service. And I think it's kind of getting flipped as service as software. And what that really means is agents, right, are going to automate a bunch of workflows. And that is going to be super interesting. And that's kind of where we believe our mode is for PipeIQ, right? That's not something OpenAI can do easily. I mean, there's going to be many, many startups that are going to that are going to focus on specific workflows, right? And if you do that job really well, the specific workflows, then it's that will become a differentiator. Of course, the data that you build against it will also become a differentiator. So that's kind
Mm,
of where we operate. Yeah.
nice. How come you launched a token on Believe?
Honestly, I it came into my mailbox, this project, right? And I've been familiar with crypto. Used to do a lot of crypto stuff back in 21, 22, and I'm very passionate about the space, right? Just the complexity in the ecosystem is massive, right? And a lot of it is under the hood, right? So you can't really quite tell. Like it's a deep rabbit hole that you can go into, and when I saw Believe, I was just to some degree playing with it and seeing where it's going to go. And I mean, when I launched, it just blew up on Twitter. Completely unexpected, unexpected, and I was not really like. I mean, we didn't take a token allocation. The team doesn't have, I mean, at the time of minting, we didn't take any allocation, right? So in some ways, I did not realize the response that I got from the market, and it was massive. So ran with it, right? And the fact is, right, I mean, again, our thesis is that agents, there are going to be billions of agents, right? That's, I think it's fairly certain, right, in the next few years, right? Now, a lot of those agents will work on centralized infrastructure, but many, large swath of those agents will work on decentralized infrastructure. And the reason for that is many of those agents will benefit from being on a public ledger, right, of the actions of what they're doing and exchange of value. So we definitely fall in that camp, and we are building against that future. So launching a coin, I think, was a sort of a good step in that direction, right? Because if we believe in a decentralized future for AI agents, then we positioning ourselves in such a way that this token can be the sort of value exchange. PIPEIQ, the token, I thought was a useful sort of direction to go to. Yeah. So that was sort of the part of the motivation for launching the token.
Yeah, nice. Do you have plans for the fees that you've accrued? Like, do you have an idea of what you want to use those for yet? Because most creators I've talked to either don't have a plan or they're still formulating a plan essentially. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously we are going to use the proceeds to, continue to build, right? And building is hard work, takes resources, takes money. I mean, let alone marketing and go to market, right? Go to market is an exercise in itself, right? So finding product market fit is not easy, and there's a lot of players, and you got to navigate the territory. So, but you got to have a solid, robust product, right? And it's taken us a long time to kind of get to where we are, and especially when you're operating at the cutting edge. Honestly, like, I mean, a lot of our stuff is, we use LangGraph as one of our protocols, and if you look at LangGraph, open source, right? They put out updates every week, every few days, right? Like, so what you're building, so you got to have the right kind of skill sets to be able to keep incorporating all the new stuff that's coming in. So all that to say that, a lot of the, I think, resources will go into building for sure, right? And then subsequently, as we begin to find signs of PMF, right, we'll devote some of those resources to marketing. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, and Believe seems to have its own schedule in terms of how they give out the funds anyway. So there's not a ton of transparency around that, at least not what I found. So
Yeah. I mean, one day I randomly looked in my creator wallet and there was a significant amount of tokens that were previously locked, and all of a sudden they were there. No tweets from the DM from the Believe team, and this was when they distributed the tokens to all the creators. So yeah, I can agree that they need to do a little bit better on communicating their plans because they're leaving a lot of creators in the dark. And on that note, what do you think that you want to see the Believe team do differently moving forward? Because I've heard a lot of frustration from different creators on various things, and I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I never received I don't know if it was an airdrop or what, but I never received those tokens. So somebody else told me about it too, but yeah.
See, that makes no sense. Like, I don't know. And I've done a lot of research here on the blockchain analytics side of things. So I actually looked at a bunch of different creator wallets and how the fees get split off. And it's actually different for different tokens. There's not one set like method. It seems like different tokens are treated differently based on when they launched. And that's weird that you didn't get your tokens.
When did you launch, Nicholas?
I think mine was on the 12th of May, so about 15 days ago, and it was the day that everything went crazy.
Is that right? Mine was 14th, so 2 days after.
Yeah, so maybe they made some changes since then. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But you'd also want to see some more transparency, right? And like communication.
Absolutely. I mean, we have tried to reach out to them multiple times, right? I mean, the thing is, I think the token number of tokens that are launched on that platform is like massive, crazy. Some like it's 24,000 is a number I saw like 2, 3 days ago. So
Yeah.
that's an insane number. So it's hard to get their attention, right? And I mean, I think it's been an interesting journey for them, right? So the whole premise of blockchain is it's permissionless, right? So when they started arbitrating on which projects to support and feature and so on, the permissionless nature of blockchain is kind of is muted, is taken away, right? So it's against the whole idea of how blockchain functions. So that is kind of disappointing in a way, right? And like, hey, we say, what's your tokenomics like, or how do I, yeah, what is the fees, and how do I plan against it, etc. It's just not clear. So I think more transparency certainly would be super helpful. Actually, even on their website, you don't see a ton, right? Like they launched a desktop version. There's nothing there, and I mean, there's only 2 API endpoints literally, or only one literally for burning tokens, either in batch or one-on-one. So that's about it. So they're I'm sure they're building, but just things, of course. But more communication would be certainly be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were kind of underprepared for the wave of speculation and tokens that were launching. Like all of a sudden, went ballistic on May 12th. Before then, it was manageable, and I think they were still building. But now that they've gotten so much attention, I think they really need to like capitalize and ramp up their operations, and they are. I mean, I see Ben Pasternak is hiring a chief of staff, and they're hiring other people as well. I agree, like more transparency, and also wanting to see them pull in more resources from like the Solana Foundation and get more advice, and have a closer relationship to the real builders, because you mentioned those like 24,000 tokens. 99% of those are pure meme coins with nothing behind it. There's a very few select projects that actually have someone building something on it. I'd probably say under 100 or
Oh my,
under 200. And so I think that's more manageable for them.
right.
Um,
That's a really small number. So I think their challenge is going to be to how do you distinguish, right? Like which projects are real, which are not, right? And endorsing, yeah, is a very dangerous proposition, obviously.
and it looks like they stopped doing that. They went back and they said, actually, we're gonna not feature anyone, or I don't know. That's the last thing I saw in their tweets, but I guess we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean,
want to get back to
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to get back to PipeIQ. We can harp on
Yes.
Believe, but I don't want to take all the time on that.
Yes.
Um, so getting back to that, have you outlined any specific ways that the token's utility will grow alongside the product so that holders benefit as the company scales?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think what we are really planning to do, right? There's a couple of things that I have in mind, and I want to be careful about what we talk about, right? But really, obviously, we would want to incorporate some sort of burn mechanisms if possible, right? A portion of the revenue that comes in potentially, right? Like, I mean, none of this is 100% sure, right? So that's one, right? But really, what I want to do is use this even as an incentive mechanism for driving meetings. That would be an interesting use case. I don't know if it's going to work, but we might try that. There's some bit of complexity involved in that, because just how are you going to transfer the tokens, etc. And like these things can get caught in spam filters, etc. When if you message people about tokens, etc. Right? Like so, it is a kind of a bit tricky, but definitely something I'd be looking at exploring. Yeah, and seeing
Yeah,
what we can do. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, and it's still very early. Like there's so many places that you could take this. I think it's good to not uh, to still be flexible on your plans for
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I just want to, kind of make sure that I don't promise anything that's not accurate. That's all. But no, absolutely. The idea is to figure out, how we can integrate, right, these things into our infra, right? And I definitely think medium term there's a significant use case around agents, as I said, right? So that's for sure. But even outside of that, would love to find a way to use this to incentivize meetings, honestly, because traditionally, people give out, I don't know, like gift cards or, you know, uh, yeah, a certain for your time, that sort of thing, for a meeting, right, to drive meetings. But I'm thinking, can we use the token itself? Now, how you're going to do that is going to be interesting. I don't
Yeah,
have the exact sort of thing laid out yet, but I'm going to explore, right, integrating it. That's really the idea. Yeah.
nice. Are there any major milestones upcoming for PipeIQ that the community can look forward to?
No, I mean, I think in terms of milestones, we announced our partnership with Databricks. We'll continue to build with them. We are actually. So that's a decent amount of work that's going on behind the scenes, right? Milestones wise, we're hoping to, yeah, again, try to get the product ready to take on a pilot, right, with the Databricks customer. That
Yeah,
would
can you
be.
tell us more about Databricks and what they do?
Sure, sure. So Databricks is a data. So they are big in enterprise, right? So Databricks is big in enterprise, and they have what they call as a data lake, which is essentially bringing diverse data sources that sit within the enterprise together, right, and normalize it in some form or fashion, right? So this is kind of a big data, quote unquote, a big data problem, right? And they have I mean, their founders are pretty big on AI, and they have a strong AI background themselves. And the idea is we have agents, right? So we will sit in their agent layer infra as part of their overall stack, right? And go and deliver value to their customers. So Databricks has 10,000 plus customers, right? Both B2B, B2C, right? And some of these customers will potentially be customers for us for PipeIQ. In that, for their GTM motions, they could leverage PipeIQ, right? So if we are as a Databricks partner, we are in their marketplace, and like you can deploy, right? You can potentially deploy our solution for against your data, right? So
Oh, that's
that's,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Nice. How did that partnership come about?
I mean, we've been, yeah. I know some folks there, and so started conversations right a few months ago. So one thing led to another, and we decided to kind of go that route because again, you have to be careful about where you are going to put your energy and resources. We are a startup, so you can't do too many things at the same time. So you got to pick your battles, right? So I think this is a great one, right? We are a Snowflake partner too, actually, right? We are a Snowflake partner as well. We haven't done as much there, but potentially there might be more activity in that front too that we aim to put out in the future.
Heck yeah, super cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for
yeah,
sharing that story.
yeah, yeah.
What? So, are you trading any of these Believe coins yourself? Are you much of a trader?
No, no, I'm definitely not a trader, not at all. I'm more of a buy and hold guy, right? I'm far too busy anyway to do meme coins and buying and trading. Yeah, that's not my style actually in general, right? I tend to have a thesis, I take a point of view, and then I, sort of buy and hold usually. That's kind of my approach, right? Yeah. How about you, Nicholas?
That's
Do
a good
you?
approach. Yeah, I'm trading them a bit, but still, I think it's very early and it's hard to say. Like I think there's going to be a lot of cool projects coming out, so I feel like it's hard to choose between all of them. And there's a lot of research to do because these are more than just meme coins. There's
Yes.
real founders, real companies behind these, and I think it takes a lot more time to do research on companies than it does to do on meme coins.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trading them, and I know you're not, but I'm trying to figure out what the traders need to know. Are
Yeah.
there any important pieces of information that you would want to know about a Believe coin before you bought it, if you were trading?
Yeah, no, look, I mean, everything is about credibility of the company, the founders, about what they're doing, and what's the use case, right? An interesting, I guess, anecdote slash story is that when we first launched, there was tremendous amount of skepticism about, hey, are you real? Is the company real? Are you real? I mean, I had to dox myself completely to be able to convince people that, yeah, don't worry, right? This is not a rug pull, right? This is not a scam, right? So tremendous amount of skepticism, and that skepticism comes out of the fact that, there's a lot of rug pull activity, right, overall in the blockchain ecosystem. So I think in terms of research, it's a tough one, right, for people. But I mean, I'd want to check out some check the boxes on basic things, right? The person, yeah, you're talking to, authenticity. I don't know, looking at hard numbers, of course, you might want to look at hard numbers, but question is, what hard numbers are you looking at, right? Is also is a good question, right? Like you don't necessarily always have access to that.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, pretty much no company I have seen so far shares revenue numbers. Some have user numbers that they want to share, like Dupe shared some revenue user numbers, but like something like revenue, yeah, traders would love to know that, but no one's sharing that. I think for good reason. These are startups, and usually the revenue isn't anything insane, so I think keeping it private is totally fine. I think things like is the founder docs is very important because then you can see, have they launched a prior company and was that company successful? Are they serious about this? And yeah, being doxed and having a real professional like image on the line reduces the chance of rug pulls a lot.
I
And then you can
agree.
also verify. Also, like, is the product live? I think is an important one. Can you actually try the product, or is it all just like
Right.
fantasy at the moment?
That's true. So in our case, that helps, right? I'm docs, number one. Number two, and I have worked with startups the last, right, 19 years. And number two, right, you can go try the product on pipeiq.ai. Go to the website, go sign up for a free trial, right? And you can check it out for yourself, whether this is vaporware or is this real, right? So that's, I think, important one. I agree, right? So that I'm a big believer in yeah, like being able to try things out. So I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. Those would be good barometers, good metrics, right?
Yeah.
And we are
How big
solving
is the
a real
pipe?
business
Oh,
use
sorry.
case.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was just saying that, I saw one thing that launched on the in the ecosystem, which was just a game of some sort, right? For example. So depends on what you resonate with as well. We are working with real world use cases. It's not just some sort of, dummy game. So yeah, it depends,
Yeah.
what you
Yeah,
gravitate.
definitely. How big is the Pipe IQ team?
We are about three. We are four people at the moment. Four, say five. Depends on who you count in. But yes, so it's a relatively small team. So that's why when people ask for updates, it's kind of. I mean, we are building stuff, right? It takes time, So it's not like I'll have an update, two times a day. Not
Yeah.
really.
That's
Um,
the same thing I was talking with the Dupe founder. Like his team is four people, and like it takes time to build real stuff, and there's not something to say every day.
yes.
But people are very impatient on Twitter, and it is good just to stay in contact, just to say hi, hey, I'm still alive, and tweet
Right.
something every day, even if it's not an update. So that's definitely good. And you seem pretty active on Twitter, I think, through the Pipe IQ account and as well as your own, right? Like I think you
I'm
post about every
reasonably
day.
active. Yeah, I'm reason. I mean, no, I this is not my natural habit to be active on Twitter. Certainly not. But I'm trying to be more active, just like have a heartbeat going for people to know that you exist, as you said, right? But yeah, I mean, I have real work to do than messaging stuff on Twitter. But yeah, and I
Yeah.
get a ton of DMs just from like, oh my God, like lots and lots of. Yeah, KOLs, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of scammers out there. I keep getting people asking me if I want a promotion through their KOL website, and I'm like, no, I don't. Leave me
Right,
alone.
right,
Um,
right,
and
right,
then
right.
because it's a shame because it get the real people, the real holders, the real people who believe in you. They get lost in all the spam sometimes. That's
That's
good that you're aware that you have to keep kind of a heartbeat. That's definitely important.
yeah, and I'm gonna try to be more active, honestly. It's just yeah, I mean maybe it's not always about the product, maybe about something else. Who
Yeah, it
knows?
can be anything really. You could talk about what you had for dinner. Like
Yeah.
people just want to know you're alive and that you're thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So that's a muscle that I have to develop a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Um, What do you see? Where do you see Pipe IQ in 5 to 10 years from now?
I mean, I think we are in the very early stages of AI, early adopters, right? But we are already at 500 million weekly active users on ChatGPT, right? So there has been tremendous activity on this front already, right? But this is just the beginning, is my belief, right? So where we see ourselves is to be a very active contributor and a player actually in this whole landscape, right? And it's a matter of time where we kind of something sort of clicks and then you find PMF. We are definitely don't have PMF at the moment, but certainly you know the way these things go, you just sort of keep aligning to what's happening in the future and then boom, it clicks. So we definitely want to be one of the key players on the AI agent side in the decentralized space, right? Is kind of where I see ourselves operating with the model context protocol, MCP servers, and so on. So our product being able to connect with wide variety of servers, agents, internal agents, external agents, and providing value. Honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, your product has to be able to provide value, right? So I hope to be in a position where we move beyond go to market and are able to create AI employees for different personas. Actually, that is the right place, right? So you spin up an employee, and that whole role is encoded in it can bring to assemble the right kind of agents to do that role. So, and that's where I think the world is moving towards, honestly, right? So we want to be part of that future. Yeah,
Ah, that's the dream. I would love to hire some AI employees to help me.
I know,
There's so
I
much
know,
to do in so little time,
too
I feel like
much.
there's never enough time in the day, so it's better to make more employees.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think current systems right now, right, are very workflow-ish in the sense, right? You got to go stitch together the workflow and go, right? So each workflow you got to keep doing, and then hopefully then you have something that does a part of your work. But that's very laborious, right? And that's the problem that PipeIQ is trying to mitigate. You don't have to do anything. You come in, it's on autopilot, right? So our goal is to put stuff on autopilot. That's what we are doing, and GTM is our first use case to do that on autopilot. Yeah,
Nice. I love it. The last question, Rajesh. If
yeah.
you had a message to every Pipe IQ holder who's held through the ups and downs, what would you say?
Play the long game.
It's a good
That's what
answer. It's pretty beautiful. That doesn't need to say anything else than that.
I say. Right? Life is all about playing the long game. That's what I've learned over time, right? It doesn't matter what you do, right? You have to think long term. Really, that's where most of the value is created, really.
Yeah, definitely. And being patient is incredibly important when you're investing, I think. I mean, all of the best trades have come. I think the most accessible trades are for when people see something that other people don't see, and
Right.
then they have conviction in the idea that they're betting on, and they are patient. And yeah, I think playing the long game is a good way to put that.
I think so. I think so. Nicholas, thank you so much. This has been phenomenal. Thanks for having me on the show.
I've had a blast as well, Rajesh. Thanks for coming on.
Okay. All right. Take
Take
care,
care.
man. Okay. Bye.
Okay.